Hello again, everyone. Mary Rose here at Stitch Bliss Corner on June the 5th, 2024. And I'd like to welcome you to these parts, and I hope things are going well for you. We've had a few cat things going on here, and it seems to be the subject anyway, because the cat that I spoke about in the last episode that I was stitching for him has been completed. It's been completed for a couple of weeks, actually, but I was trying to get another dimensions done before the end of May, and it hasn't quite been completed, but I'll show you the progress of that piece. And I thought, well, I'll show where I'm up to, because I did tell people that I was going to put out a video at the end of May, and as things do, it sort of got away on me a little bit. So anyway, it's early June, so I suppose that's not too bad. And Harlequin set up a camera in the backyard because we have a few cats that wander through, and we didn't realize how many until we had photographic evidence of these cats, that it must be part of their territory at night that they come through and have a bit of a look around our back garden. And anyway, there was a little bit of drama on the last video, because it sort of sets off automatically and records for about a minute. And some evidence was found of a pile of feathers out there. So Harlequin had a look at his video, and there was a hawk that was pecking away at a dove that had been, well, fatally injured, shall we say. And it was a young hawk. And I did say to Harlequin, well, they've got to eat as well. They're birds of prey, and it's all part of nature, really. And then I thought, well, really, if we'd have just gone out there without the video evidence, we would have thought one of the cats had got that bird, not a hawk. But then I thought maybe the cats did do it, and the hawk just took advantage. And I thought, well, in a court of law, they'd probably, the cat and the hawk would have been acquitted due to lack of evidence, because we didn't actually see the kill. But it does go to show that videos make a lot of difference when it comes to evidence. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's a kind of an unfortunate story in one way, but in another way, it is all part of the animal world, that where you've got predators, you've got prey. And at least the cats weren't accused, or weren't found guilty of something that they may not have had anything to do with. But anyway, he's going to leave his camera there, and we'll see what happens in future episodes. Anyway, to get on, I think I was just interested in cats at the moment because of his, Harlequin's cat that I've completed. And may I say that he looks really quite magnificent, even if I do say so myself. Now, before I do show him to you, I was asked about the music that I use when I go to the stages of stitching. And the title track is called Heavenly. The genre is classical. It's from the YouTube audio library. Mood, romantic, artist, Aakash Gandhi. Duration 2 minutes 43. So for anyone who was interested in that music, somebody was, and asked me about, the title and everything. That is the title. So I'll probably get Harlequin to just put a little note down in the notes anyway, for anyone that's interested there. Now, today I have a finish. I've got an almost finish. It's a dimensions. Then I've got some items that Harlequin got me for Mother's Day that I'm going to show you in the form of haul. Uh, he's we've this isn't stitching, but he has got me some brushes and some watercolors. And it's my fault in a way, because I am sorely tempted. I've been looking at some of the videos, and I got some special markers from, well, I think they're manufactured in China, but there's a whole box full of, well, it's sort of like in a zipper case, and you open up and there's all these markers in there, and they're alcohol based, and you have to use special paper. And there's a particular artist on YouTube, and she's just magnificent. She uses them. She does watercolors and everything, but she was gifted these. I think they sent them to her. And the work she does is just great. And I've got my, what do they say, I'm rocking my butterfly earrings today. Anyway, look, I'll carry on because I can feel myself waffling. So I'll just get the piece that I was working on. Do you know, it's amazing how you've never got enough room. Oh, you'll be pleased to know that these two pieces that I did for my nephews and nieces, well, grand nephews and nieces, or grand or great, one of those. They've received them, and they're very happy with them. And so I say a special hello to them all down there in a different state to where I live. Now, this is the piece that I stitched for Harlequin. Ankicoleman Designs. And this background here is stitched, but I didn't use that. I didn't stitch that because Harlequin got some fabric that he liked, and we stitched him on. I stitched him on that fabric that Harlequin liked. Now, if you can see here, the design cuts off there and there, and Harlequin said, can I just, make more of a shoulder there, because really that picture is almost like, in the old almanacs, they had pictures of all the pilots. And I think that's how this was presented by this artist. It was just like a photograph in the book of all the different pilots. So, but we really didn't want, because of the fabric that Harlequin chose, which is clouds and sky, we sort of, when we frame it, we want him to sort of be a bit wider, and you can't sort of, well, I'll explain it better when I've got the stitching up for you. Now, has it got the artist here? I don't think it has. But anyway, he's Cat Pilot too. Fine fellow he is too, isn't he? So anyway, here's the stitching now. So I've got all this stuff here, and I don't know why, but for some reason, and I think a lot of Flosstubers have this problem, they put their things there and it all sort of starts teetering, and you have to be really careful. So here he is. And isn't he just gorgeous? And see now, the original, the stitching would have stopped about there like that. Oh, maybe not there. There. So it just would have been just straight down. And Harlequin wants, when it's framed, he wants, enough of the clouds in, sort of over here. So I did sort of invent this part here of stitching just to give him a shoulder. And then I extended him over here. So, he's going towards a shoulder there, or an arm anyway. So there's the fine fellow. Now, I'll just show you the helmets they used to wear. So you can see how accurate that is, because you can see the straps on the side. And this cat is nose part, that part there is hanging down, because they only wore that when they were up in the altitudes and they needed it to talk to the people on the ground. And I think there was oxygen that came through as well when they were up that high. It was very cold. They used to have to wear sheepskin liners in their jackets and everything because it was so cold up in the sky. Anyway, there he is. And we've called him Douglas. And there's a good reason for that. And I'll just let you know what that reason is. I'll go to the stages now of the stitching. And then when I get back, I'll just talk to you about the name Douglas and why he was being called Douglas. So off to the stages of the stitching. Right, so there's Douglas. And Douglas was chosen because there was a fighter pilot in World War II called Douglas Bader. And he was interesting because he was quite a character when he was young. He was a bit of a tearaway. And he born in England, and he learned to fly pretty early in his life in the 1930s. And he was a bit of a show off. And at one of the airfields, showing off to his friends, and he was doing some aerial twirls and flips and everything. And his wing hit the ground and he crashed. Now, he came very close to dying, and he lost both his legs, one below the knee and one above the knee. And I think it was the eminent surgeon, Dr. Joyce, or Mr. Joyce, I suppose he was a surgeon, who, did the amputations but saved his life. And there was a book written about him called Reach for the Sky. And I just thought you might be interested to see. There's the plane after the crash, and his shoes are in the foreground there. And anyway, he made a recovery, and he wasn't allowed to fly anymore. But when the Second World War started, he was permitted to fly again, and he went on a lot of different sorties in the war, and got quite a few hits, as they say. And he was captured as a prisoner of war. He used to try and escape a lot, and apparently one of his legs, something happened. Oh, that's right. When he was shot down, and one of his legs got caught in the plane. And they did say that if he'd been his real leg, he probably would have gone down with the plane, but the straps broke. And so he was able to parachute down, and he was caught. And the Germans permitted him to have a leg flown in so that he could use that. And he got a lot of respect from the Germans. And one of the German fighter pilots became a great friend of his. And he was knighted after the war for services to the disabled, because he was a great example to, I suppose, a lot of the men that lost limbs and were injured, that he didn't let that overcome his ambition to fly again, number one. And then number two, after the war, he took up golf because he felt that he could compete on almost an even basis, even though it must have been very difficult with two artificial legs, because I should imagine in those days they would have been quite heavy. And there was a film made about him starring Kenneth More, and that was called Reach for the Sky as well. And Douglas did say, because Kenneth More played him as a very laid back and casual and sweet kind of person, and and Douglas said, look, I'm nothing like that. I swear like a trooper, and I'm a real show off and quite arrogant, which you did need that. I mean, you needed that quality to be going over and dropping bombs and doing things like that. And I think that's the thing with men. They are so different to women. And I sort of think, with the women's movement and everything, of which I was part of. I was a great Germaine Greer. She wrote a book called The Female Eunuch in the 1970s, and it was all about women's liberation and how we needed equal rights and all this sort of thing. And I think the idea was fine, but I don't think it's actually done us much good, to be quite honest, because I think we do need the warriors. We need the men to be men. Uh, and the women were always seen as the gentler sex because we are weaker. We are weaker. We're not as strong as men. And Eleanor of Aquitaine, all those many centuries ago, who she took up the um, idea for women, because in those days, of course, women really were very, had no power whatsoever. Even, you know, the person they were going to marry, that was all mapped out for them and all that sort of thing. And she brought in the idea of making women prizes that men would treat with courtesy and would be gentle around them, wouldn't swear and carry on and act like brutes around them, would treat them in a different manner because they were women, they were female. And she felt, and she was right, really, I think, that because men are strong and can pretty much dominate in many ways, that they needed to be put in a place where they would treat women in a different way. And I think that did work for many centuries, worked very well. And then, the women's movement came along with all the best of intentions. But it seems to me that today, women are being treated like men. And because men have been told, look, we're the same as you, we can do what you can do. And so men are sort of encouraged to treat women in that way. And at the same time, men are sort of turned off by that a bit because they don't want to marry another man. They want to marry a woman. They want to marry someone that, when they come home from work, I know women work as well, don't get me wrong. But I think the traditional man's idea is that, he does a day's work and he comes home and, he gets a nice meal on the table. He gets a nice warm bed at night and, they have children and, the wife looks after the household and brings the children up in the manner that he would like. I think many men would very much like that kind of a scenario. And I don't think it's chauvinistic or wrong of men to want that. I think that's part of the reason why they get married and want a family. And you can sort of look at it that if they don't get that, then why would they get married? If they, because I think I have heard where women have said to the husband, oh, I'm not your mother, go and get your own dinner or go and do this, that, and the other. And forgetting, of course, that a lot of men, when they marry, do look for someone like their mother. So I think it's really difficult for women today because I think what we've done is we've managed to get jobs and have to hold a household down and fulfill the husband's requirements. And it seems that nobody wins unless you come to that agreement in the first place of what your roles are going to be after you're married. Because I don't know, I'm out there. I think I've said before many times that I'm not a fan of cooking. I'm not a fan, but I do it. And I know Harlequin very much appreciates what I cook. And I was out there in the kitchen the other day, and my son is staying with us at the moment. And he was chatting to his father in the lounge. I could hear them talking. And there I was out in the kitchen getting their meal. And I thought they're sitting there probably in the, happy anticipation of what's coming, the meal's coming in and we're going to sit and watch something on YouTube while we have our tea or whatever. And it's all part of the warmth of a family, isn't it? And I think that, instead of women thinking about what the man should be doing for them, maybe they should be thinking about all the things that men have done for them. And I'm meaning things like, inventing things like the washing machine. And, I mean, if men did nothing, like if men, because, hear women say, oh, I don't need a man. But you do need a man. You need lots of men. The sewerage could go down. No water could be coming out. Who do you call? It's all men that do all these terrible jobs. That's one of the reasons why, in the 50s and the 40s, women were in the home, because all the jobs were horrible. They were dirty, they were dangerous, and men did all that. And all the inventions that men have put together, the modern medicine, aeroplanes, vacuum cleaners, everything, and you kind of think it's just a shame that women don't recognize all the advantages they have because of men, because of the patriarchy that all the feminists moan about and carry on about. And now we've got all these girls in their 30s that can't find men because men are too scared to approach them because of the Me Too movement and everything. In the old days, a man would approach a woman and have, now they're scared there's a phone recording everything, so the average guy, he's not going to be risking that. He's not going to be risking his whole life being ruined on YouTube because of something that he might have awkwardly attempted to do something, and it's all over YouTube. So, so I think we should actually make more of respect more of what men have done for us. And, don't get me wrong, in some ways I feel a bit guilty about it because I was part of the women's liberation movement. And it was really just so that if we wanted to do whatever it was men were doing, like, for example, let's say mechanical bricklaying or something, that we should be able to do that. Not so that it's all spun out of control that, if a man opens a door for a woman, he's considered to be a creep or something. It's just crazy what's happening now. And violence against women is going up. And I really do think it's because men are treating women like they would treat another man now. So, and you can't sort of reel it in. Now Pandora's box has been opened. Usually I do try to make this a very positive. So I'm sorry for this little rant, but I think it was just, Douglas. I was just thinking of all those men, mostly men. I know women were in the war, the nurses and all the different, the secret agents there were women in those situations as well. So I'm taking nothing away from them, but the majority were men that died for the world that we have, and I kind of think, what would they think today? It's anyway, so I'm getting off that subject now, but I just, had to have a little rant. And it's possible I won't leave this in. I'll just see how I feel when I see it back again. Because I don't want it to be a negative, but I suppose it's not really a negative. It's just my point of view about it. And I think we can have those from time to time. So anyway, that is Douglas, and he's all done. So he'll be heading off to the framer. And needless to say, Harlequin's very, very happy with his cat. And I think I might have created not a monster, but it's got his interest up now. So he's found something else for me to stitch. And I'll show that to you very shortly. So now the second piece that I've been working on since I finished Douglas is this one here, which is the Dimensions Village Canal counted cross stitch kit, 14 count blue Aida, and yeah, so that's what I've been working on. And I'm not really a fan of 14 count, I have to say. I like 18 count because 14, I don't like the coverage very much. But in this case, I thought, look, just relax, just stitch it the way it's supposed to be. Although I haven't sort of done it completely the way it's supposed to be. Our dimensions uses all different numbers of threads and everything. But it's mostly the same. So I'll just show you where I'm up to with that. So there's the stitching there. And I've just got to do, I've got the, let me check. I've got the 3 rows to go down here. Yeah, so that's Village Canal, and it's almost completed. I'll just look and see. Sun Kim was the artist there. So, yeah, very enjoyable. I think one thing I would say is if you've got multiple threads to use, you know how they say, use 3 threads for this and 4 threads for that. If you just use a bigger needle, it does make it easier to pull through the fabric. Although with 14 count, it's no problem. It's usually 18 count that makes it a bit difficult. And I just thought I'd show you, this is the legend or the key for that particular piece. And what I do is, see how there's a blended thread there? If I've got some left over, I just put it in that spot there. And so on and so forth. And even if it's not blended, I just sort of, if I've got a long enough piece, I just put it through the legend there. And here are the threads. So I've still got quite a lot left over. And as you can see, I've put the holes. The threads actually come out here when you first get your kit. But I just put a hole in there with a hole punch like that. And cut the threads and put them on the other side. So that's that. Oh, I'll just go to the stages of the stitching here too, just so that you can see the stages of Village Canal. And then I'll see you shortly. Right, so now this is what Harlequin saw. And he was, because now I think he keeps a bit of an eye out for something that he would like for me to stitch for him, which I really do enjoy stitching for him. So that's really good. Mind you, he hasn't picked anything that I haven't liked yet, so I don't know what will happen if he does. But he runs everything by me first anyway. So this is the one that he has picked out here. It's another Dimensions. And Snow Days, D-A-Z-E. Oh, that's another 14 count. I might do it on 18. I'll just have to see how big it would be on 18. Designed by Shane Dimmick. So it looks very nice, doesn't it? Amazing how they seem impervious to the cold, isn't it? Let's open it and have a little look. Right. Now here are the threads. And you see, I'll be putting the holes along there to put the threads through. And there are some more threads there that they've put. Same, the match some of the colours on this, but there are extras for that. And then we have the 14 count. So you get an idea of the size. I'm a great fan of Aida. I mean, look at how even that is. I think it's wonderful fabric for cross stitch. I really do. And I think some people put themselves through purgatory using a finer, like for 14 count, you know how you can get the 28 count. And it flops about all over the place. And you're covering up the holes anyway. So why would you use a flimsy 14 count fabric when you can use, 28 count fabric when you can use the 14 count Aida and you've got a strong, durable fabric to work on, and it's so much easier. The only time I would use 28 count instead of 14 would be if there were faces to be stitched on the piece, and which makes it worthwhile working with floppity fabric to get the fine features. That's a different story. So anyway, we've got the usual here. We've got the legend there. And this is one of the things, a needle. But see, that's one of the things with Aida too, or with Dimensions, is they've got this habit of putting that legend on there and the chart on the other side. So you sort of have to make a copy, or else you'd be flipping it over all the time to see what colours you were going to be using. Or then again, I suppose you could take a picture on your phone or something and use that for your reference if you couldn't, didn't want to copy it. But yeah, anyway. So that will be probably next on the agenda. And then he decided to get me some scissors for Mother's Day. And he sort of got me a little collection of them, which I shall share with you now. Now, what are these? Classic style. European classical. So I'll take those out so you can have a look. They really are fancy, aren't they? And of course, I've got one of these bowls here that you can use to put scissors in. So I think that was probably what he was thinking, because, he's always thinking, that's for sure. So, and here's another Another one. Comes in a little protective case. Goodness. They don't take any prisoners, those. Good heavens. Oh, they've got butterflies. Let's see, there's one up there. Very nice. And these, oh, I think they're sort of like peacocks almost. Down there, there's, I don't know if you can see those very well, just a minute. Yeah, they're birds facing each other there. And some little plants there. Oh gosh, what's this? Oh, these are those little snippers. Oh dear. I certainly won't need to get any more scissors, that's for sure. So I'm just trying to get that out there. So it's got a little, this would be good to have if you had a whole lot of projects. You could put one of these in each one, couldn't you? So that's those. I mean, sometimes you buy, you can't buy one of anything anymore. You've got to buy, it's like if you're a handyman and you've got a job to do, and you need 3 screws and you have to buy 34 of them in a bag, Oh, that's a dinky little pair. Just a little pattern on those. All right. Oh, I think these are more for crafting scissors, so I won't take those out, but they're just your average crafting sort of scissors. Oh, and here are my favourites. I really do like the crane scissors, which was actually what I asked him for, and he just decided to give me a few extras. And there's a smaller pair of the crane scissors. Yes, I'll be able to put my scissor fob on the crane scissors. That's the York rose there, or the Tudor rose, which is the white rose of York, which was Elizabeth of York, and the red rose of Lancaster, which was Henry VII's rose. And that clever monarch put the 2 roses together. Notice how he made her rose smaller than the Tudor rose, even though she was much more royal than he was. But anyway, and then on the back is the Beaufort portcullis, which was Henry VII's mother, was Margaret Beaufort. So yeah, so I've put that on my scissors now, and I'll be able to use that. So that's very good. And see, I'll put some scissors in there. So, and I'll put some in the middle as well. So I think I'll probably just sit them in the bowl for the time being, because I've got such a variety there, I won't know what to do with myself, will I? So thank you very much, Harlequin, and while I'm at it, thank you very much to him for all his hard work with his editing and all that sort of thing that he does. So, so that's really just about it for me this time. I'm going to finish off, as I say, the dimensions piece, the canal piece. And after that, I might just take a little time out just to try out those watercolors for a little while. It won't be for very long, because, you know, I do like to stitch. I can't keep away from stitching. So I'll be starting a few other. Well, I've got the wolf to do anyway, haven't I? Harlequin's seen to that. So, so I'll be doing that. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. So I'll catch up with you probably later on this year. I've got a few things I want to get done. And when I've got enough things together to show you, I'll get back to you and show you what I've been up to. So until then, all the best with whatever you're working on. I hope things are going well for you. You know, very tough times at the moment for everybody, and uncertain times as well. But, you know, I mean, as long as what you control, you control. You know, I mean, to make things easier for yourself and for your families and everything. I think that's really much better idea, is to just focus on what you can do and what gives you a comfort and pleasure, as much as you possibly can, and probably not dwell too much on other things, because what's the point? You know, if you can't do anything about it, you just make your own little world as good as it possibly can be. Well, that's what we do around here anyway. All right. And if anything happens on Cat Cam, you can bet your bottom dollar that I will be showing you any episodes. I wouldn't be showing you the hawk. I think that's probably a little bit too much reality there. But he was a young hawk, and it was fine to see him. He was very nice. So anyway, until next time, it's goodbye from Mary Rose here at Stitch Bliss Corner. Bye.